I've seen a lot, and at this point, too many, well-intentioned people try and use the term person of color correctly only to fail. Really, it happens quite often, and it's used incorrectly so brazenly that I feel like some course correcting could help clear out when and how to use this term. In interest of that, here are 5 quick tips on how to use POC correctly and avoid looking like a cringe-inducing sitcom character. And if you already use it correctly, maybe this guide can help a friend of yours. 1. When in doubt, say it out. Without a doubt, the most common misuse, and the most innocent, is when POC is used as though it is an adjective. You'll see things like POC women or POC writers. The thing is, POC stands for person or people of color. If you're wondering whether you are using this term correctly, spell out the words that it stands for. People of color women doesn't make grammatical sense, now does it? This leads directly into the next point of 2. Substitute the noun. While people of color women is horrible to listen to, women of color flows a lot better, as it should, being both grammatically correct and having history dating back to use by intersectional black feminists at the 1977 National Women's Conference. Whatever you're getting at, if it is a noun, it can be modified by the prepositional phrase of color. This can save time as well. While directors that are people of color is grammatically correct, directors of color both quicker and flows better. 3. Don't say, just don't say, quote, colored person, end quote. Just don't. Seen a lot of white people, probably less innocent than the awkward examples above, say that if person of color is politically correct, why not, quote, colored person, end quote. Well, first of all, political correctness as a concept is always evolving. A lot of words and phrases that were used were completely innocent at the time, but aren't any longer. Yes, W.E.B. Du Bois and the founders of the NAACP used that term, but that was the politically correct term at the time. Person of color is very unlikely to be the golden term that will always be an offensive for all time, but it's the polite one to use now. You're not exactly a genius if you point out that the terms that are politically acceptable change. You're just kind of a jerk. But if you don't like saying it, because it reminds you of what was acceptable 100 years ago, that's fine, because 4. You don't have to say it. Nobody is going to force you to say it, although I assume you already knew that. Though it is a useful term, it is far from perfect, and ultimately is a general blanket term. It's preferred over the term non-white because non-white insinuates that whiteness is the norm from which all variations originate. But you, again, don't have to say it if you don't want to say it. In fact, sometimes you really shouldn't, because 5. It isn't a catch-all term for any racial group. This is another big problem, even though it can be used in a grammatically appropriate context. On a light note, when Black Panther came out, I saw a lot of discussion suggesting that this was a movie about people of color. And it is, in a way, but it's specifically about black people. I mean, the story is tied to both Africa and the experiences of black people throughout the world. Acting like being a person of color is synonymous with being black ignores the real effects being of the African diaspora has throughout the world. And on a more serious note, this goes beyond TV and movies. When the Dakota Access Pipeline was being built, I saw several people saying that this was the US government putting corporate interests before the health and rights of people of color. And again, in a way, yes. But the US government taking land on this continent and using and abusing it is specifically an attack against indigenous peoples of America, and in this particular case, against the Meskwaki, Standing Rock Sioux, and Cheyenne River Sioux tribes. I've also seen it said that the transatlantic slave trade is a crime against people of color, when it is specifically a crime against black Africans. Solidarity is not about pretending each group of people has been treated the same way. It's about recognizing that other groups face challenges that are different and sometimes greater than yours. This is usually done, if intentionally, in a way to distract from a problem, especially with anti-blackness. Treating societal structures as though they divide people into white people and people of color overlooks the effects of hypervisibility and systemic structures made specifically for the purpose of lowering the capabilities of black people. And there are cases where POC is the right term, but if you're talking about one race, ethnicity, or cultural group, don't brush it over with a generality. Say what you mean, and if you mean to erase the struggles of other people, maybe consider not saying it at all.